Year 10 parents, caregivers and students, welcome to our information presentation PowerPoint for 2021. This PowerPoint is a very different way of presenting our information for course selections for Year 11 and 12 commencing in 2021 due to our COVID-19 experiences. We look forward to the journey of helping your child make those all-important decisions that will lead them into training or the workplace. This particular PowerPoint takes you through the general pathway. Assisting in the presentation, you will hear from Mr. Dave Norcliffe, our Senior School Deputy, when we are talking mostly about the courses that we can offer as a registered training organisation. Mrs. Lindley Stewart, our VET Program Coordinator, will take you through that vital information. And finally, to assist you in understanding the timetable and the selection process and where to from here, you will then hear from Mr. Paul Beecham, our Manager Operations. We look forward to assisting you make those all-important decisions for Year 11 and 12.
Thank you, Mrs. McDonald. I'd like to start by talking about the WACE. Some of you may have heard of WACE but aren't sure what it actually is. So WACE stands for the West Australian Certificate of Education. Now, the WACE is awarded to students who have successfully met criteria and requirements that are set out by the School Curriculum and Standards Authority, also known as SCASA. Now, we used to call this graduation. So the new terminology is that all students graduate, but not all students achieve the WACE. So not all students actually satisfy the requirements and therefore don't achieve the WACE. So it is what all students are aiming to achieve at the end of Year 12. Now, to achieve WACE, there are some requirements, as we said. First one is all students need to meet the Online Literacy and Numeracy Assessment Standard. Now, this is OLNA. All Year 10 students have sat their first round of OLNA testing, which occurred in March. Now, students will get another opportunity in September, and then again in March and September in Year 11 and March and September of Year 12. So all up, students get 6 opportunities to pass the 3 different requirements, the 3 different categories of OLNA, which are writing, reading and numeracy. And students need to achieve Category 3 for all 3 of those by the end of Year 12 to achieve WACE. Also, to achieve WACE, students need to complete at least 4 ATAR courses or at least 5 general courses, which can be a combination of general and ATAR, or a Certificate 2 or higher qualification in combination with ATAR, general or foundation courses. Now, that third point is what all of our students at Thornley Senior High School do. Every student studies a Certificate 2 or higher, as well as their general or ATAR and foundation courses. To achieve WACE, students also need to complete 1 pair of units from List A and List B subjects. So List A subjects are subjects such as the arts, languages and social sciences, and List B are your mathematics, science and technology type of subjects. Now, all students need to study at least 4 units from English learning area. Therefore, that satisfies the List A requirement. All students also, as well as English, need to study a List B subject. Now, we highly recommend that all students study a maths. Students who are good at maths, we recommend you study maths because that will be a good subject for you to get high grades in. Students who are not good at maths, we recommend that you do study maths because you need to improve your ability in the mathematics area, especially students who are yet to pass OLNA in numeracy. All students studying English and maths therefore satisfy the List A and List B requirements. And finally, to achieve WACE, all students need to achieve a minimum of 14 C grades or higher across Year 11 and Year 12. Now that includes students achieving at least 6 C grades in Year 12. So all students study 6 subjects in Year 11. For every subject, they receive 2 grades, Semester 1 and a Semester 2 grade. Therefore, in Year 11, for the 6 subjects, students actually receive 12 grades. Again, in Year 12, those 6 subjects are studied and students will get another 12 grades. Therefore, across Year 11 and 12, students will receive 24 grades. 14 of those must be at a C level or higher for students to achieve WACE. Now, what's going to put you ahead of the rest? Over 90% of students across WA leave school each year at the end of Year 12 with a WACE. Now, last year, in 2019, there was 22,009 students. That's 91.3% of students left school with a WACE. So you don't want to be in the 10% that don't achieve WACE, but if you are in the 90% that achieve WACE, what is going to put you ahead of the rest? When you are going for a job, when you are going for a TAFE course, a pre-apprenticeship or an apprenticeship, you are going to be competing with students across the state from other schools and from our school. So what is going to put you ahead of them to achieve that position? 14 C grades won't put you ahead of anybody. Remembering 14 C grades is a minimum. What you should be aiming for is to pass every one of your subjects and aim for A's and B's as well. Now, the West Australian Statement of Student Achievement is something that all students receive at the end of Year 12, whether they have achieved WACE or not. Now, this WASA is a record of all courses and programs that students have completed across Year 11 and 12. It lists all the subjects and the grades achieved. It lists the certificate course and all units of competencies achieved, and it also lists any endorsed programs that the students may have studied. So, subjects at Thornley Senior High School, what courses do we actually offer? There are ATAR courses. Now, these are aimed for students who are looking at going to university directly from high school. And all ATAR courses have an exam, an external exam at the end of Year 12. Now, students who study an ATAR course and then they do not sit that external exam will have the ATAR course removed from their record. We have general courses, and general courses are for students aiming to enter further training, such as TAFE or the workforce straight from schools. Now, general courses are not examined, so there are no exams for our general courses. We have certificate courses. As we said, all of our students study a Certificate 2 or higher at Thornley Senior High School. Now, these are designed to assist students to get apprenticeships, to get employment, and also to get entry into TAFE. And finally, foundation courses. Now, we have Foundation English and we have Foundation Maths, and they are for students who are Category 1 in OLNA. So anyone who is Category 1 will automatically be placed into the corresponding foundation course. Once a student passes OLNA, which is Category 3, they will then switch to a general course. So general pathway, if you are looking at going to TAFE or employment after Year 12, you are recommended to choose a general pathway. Now that consists of 5 general courses or foundation courses and 1 certificate course. This is a snapshot of a report that was done recently where students who had left school were tracked and at the age of 25 were interviewed, and it was found that 50% of these students, the 14,000 that were tracked, 50% of them were not working full-time. Now, full-time was classed as 35 hours a week or more. And they looked at what were the barriers that prevented people from working full-time after they had left school. And they are listed in red down the page. The first one, not enough work experience. Now, at Thornley Senior High School, all of our general students we'll do a 2-week workplace learning block in semester 1 year 11 and semester 2 year 11, and then repeat that in year 12, 2 weeks in semester 1 and 2 weeks in semester 2. All of our general students will have over 220 hours of work experience when they leave the end of year 12. Now, it is also linked to an endorsed program called Workplace Learning, which will be explained a little bit more further in this presentation. Second point, lack of appropriate education. At Thornley Senior High School, we offer a wide variety of subjects which are designed to educate our students in regards to subjects that or careers they are looking at doing when they leave year 12. So we have a variety of subjects that address that particular point. Thirdly, lack of career management skills. Now we have a subject in year 11 and 12 that all students are recommended to study who are looking at gaining a career at the end of year 12, and it's called Career and Enterprise. So that actually addresses that particular point in regards to career management skills. So it's a really good subject to have a look at if you are looking at a general pathway. Now the fourth blocker that was identified, not enough jobs. Well, unfortunately, there's not a lot that we can do about that particular one. This graph has a look at the growth of a variety of different industries that students need to have a look at if you're looking at choosing a career. So where are the growth industries? Where are the jobs going to be? And as you can see from the graph, the largest growth area at the moment is in healthcare and social assistance, with a 27.9% growth in 5 years. This is what they're predicting, 5 years up to 2023. Closely behind that, we have construction and education and training, as well as professional, scientific and technical services. So they are the growth industries. So if you're having a look at choosing a career, they are the industries where most of the jobs will be in the coming years. Choosing an actual subject can be quite difficult for students, especially at year 10 age. So what we recommend is maybe having a look at what we call job clusters. So rather than a particular job, maybe have a look at an area that you are particularly interested in. So these are the various job clusters, are the generators, the artisans, the designers, the informers, the coordinators, the technologists and the carers. Now this particular document, and both of these documents are included in the packs that you receive, this document has a look at those clusters, and on the right hand side it actually gives examples of jobs that are within those clusters. But it also has a look at the job growth that has occurred within that cluster over the years from years 2010 to 2015, and also looks at the possibility of this cluster being affected by automation. In other words, will this job eventually be overtaken by a robot? And if you have a look at the third one down, the carers. Now this is an example of a cluster that has strong future prospect. It has had good growth in that 5-year period, and it has the least amount of possibility being affected by automation. Now example of this cluster, general practitioners, podiatrists, makeup artists, surgeons, social workers. So that is a growth area that students might like to look at. Other strong future prospect clusters are the informers and the technologists. Now, a couple of these are classed as weak future prospect, the coordinators and the artisans. Both of those have not had good growth in that 5-year period, but also they have a high percentage affected by automation. So that's something to bear in mind if you're looking at choosing your future career. Finding out which job cluster would be best suited to you, there is a website here that's run by Deakin University. We highly recommend that all Year 10 students have a look at this website and take the quiz, and it will tell you what is your most suitable job cluster. Job trends. Over 90% of new jobs over the next 5 years will need education beyond school, and some jobs will need more training than they used to. Many professional and service roles demand university or VET qualifications. So just something to bear in mind, that there is a good chance that students will require further training after leaving Year 12. Now here is a snapshot of where our Year 12s from last year have ended up this year. Now a large 38.8% of our students are at university this year. 16.4% have picked up part-time employment, 12% are at TAFE, and you can see all the other areas where our students have ended up. Just out of interest to have a look at where our students from last year are this year. Okay, I'd like to hand over to Mrs. Stewart now, who will take you through the VET part of courses in Year 11 and 12. So you just need to click on the next slide.
Thanks, Mr. Norcliffe. And now I'd like to speak about the vocational education and training programs in the school, commonly known as VET. Every student at Thornley is required to study a certificate course. It's compulsory for all students who are studying a general pathway to the WACE. The reason that we ask students to study a certificate is that it ensures a broader education for students. It will also assist students to gain an apprenticeship and offers many employment opportunities. Students will leave school with a nationally recognised qualification, and the cost of these certificates at school is a fraction of the cost of the certificate at TAFE. We can provide many links to industries that many families don't have, and a TAFE course is also an alternative entry into university. The certificates that we are offering are Certificate 2s in business, in childcare, media, dance, engineering pathways, hospitality, sport and recreation, visual arts with an arts focus, and visual arts wood. There is also a Certificate 2 in information, digital media and technology. All of these certificates offer C grades as VET equivalences. The Certificate 2 will give a student 4 units, which is 4 C grades, once completed, 2 in Year 11 and 2 in Year 12. If a student is doing a Certificate 3, which may be the case in information, digital media and technology, it is 6 units, 2 in Year 11 and 4 in Year 12. Workplace learning is an important part of the general courses and the certificate courses at Thornley Senior High School. So any student who is doing less than 4 8-hour subjects will participate in workplace learning in Year 11 and Year 12. Workplace learning will occur in 2-week blocks in terms 2 and 4 of Year 11 and terms 1 and 3 of Year 12. Students will work in 1 or 2 real workplaces and will develop a set of transferable workplace skills, otherwise known as generic employability skills. Students may also accrue a maximum of 2 Year 11 units and 2 Year 12 units in workplace learning, which also contribute towards their WACE. So overall, there would be 4 C grades. The required 220 hours is completed over 2 years, 110 hours per year in 2 workplace learning blocks, semesters 1 and semesters 2. So what's going to put you ahead of the rest? Workplace learning. Not every school does workplace learning. It is an endorsed program that will appear on the WASA.
Thank you, Mrs. Stewart. Big picture. Students who are currently in Year 10 Big Picture program have the opportunity to continue in Big Picture in Year 11 and 12, or may move into mainstream. Big Picture students who are staying in Big Picture have the option of choosing a WACE pathway or not. So students who would like to achieve WACE through Big Picture do have that opportunity. Now, all Big Picture students must choose one certificate course, and whether you are trying to achieve WACE or not, you can choose another mainstream subject if you would like to. Any student who is not currently in Big Picture but is interested in at least having a look and maybe joining for Year 11 and 12, please make contact with Mr. Norcliffe and we can discuss that further. So, students choosing subjects. What subjects are you going to choose for Year 11 and 12? Now, the first decision you need to make is whether you are going to do an ATAR pathway or a general pathway. Now, the first thing to look at to make that decision is, what is your post-school destination? What are you aiming to do at the end of Year 12? Now, if you would like to go direct entry to university, then you need to choose an ATAR pathway. You can choose a general pathway and still get to university. It just means at the end of Year 12, you would need to do a 6-month bridging course at university, or maybe go to TAFE to do a Cert 4, which usually takes about 12 months, and that Certificate 4 can get you into university. But generally, ATAR pathway is the way to go. If you would like to go to TAFE at the end of Year 12, then we recommend you do a general pathway. Same if you are looking at getting employment. Second thing to look at when choosing ATAR or general is your school grades. If you are achieving A's and B's in your subjects, then an ATAR pathway is possible for you, but you can also choose general. If you are achieving C's and D's, then I think a general pathway is probably more suited to you. Thirdly is teacher recommendations. In your subject selection form, where you choose your subjects, you do require a teacher to recommend you for each of those subjects. So for example, if you are choosing ATAR English and your English teacher does not recommend that you do ATAR English, then you probably need to have a look at doing a general pathway. And lastly, choosing ATAR or general, your own results. If you are category 3s, then ATAR pathway would be for you, or you can still do a general pathway. If all of your ONA results are category 2s, then probably a general pathway is more suited to you. And if you are category 1, then we recommend a general pathway and you study foundation maths and or foundation English. Now, choosing which subjects to actually do. So if you are choosing a general pathway, start with your certificate course. So choose your certificate first. Now, to help you choose your certificate, have a look at what your intended career is and see if you can choose a certificate course that closely matches that. Or what are you intending to study at TAFE after Year 12? Secondly, have a look at your school grades. So which subjects are you good at the moment? Because remember, the higher grades you achieve, that will put you ahead of the others when trying to get your apprenticeship or job or TAFE course. Next thing to look at, what are you interested in? So choose subjects in Year 11 and 12 that you have an interest in. Now you're going to be having a course counselling interview in week 9 or 10. Now your course counsellor will assist you in choosing subjects if you are not sure. I suggest you look to see if your subject has a period 0 or a period 6, because if you are unable to attend school early, then maybe you don't choose the subject that requires a period 0. And please do not choose courses just because your friends are. Now, the course selection process, what we're going to step through for you to choose your subjects. Now, the first step you are doing right now because you are reading this PowerPoint. Second thing you need to do is personal research. Now, the Student Career Exploration Workbook was posted on Connect recently. I highly recommend that your Year 10 students all complete that workbook. It is a great way to have a look at future careers, and that will assist you in choosing your subjects. Point number 3, we are going to have a Year 10 Subject Information Day, and that will be discussed a little bit further on in this presentation. After that Subject Information Day, you need to then get your teacher recommendations. So have a look at some subjects and talk to your teachers and get them to recommend you. As I said before, if they don't recommend you for a subject, then you really need to choose something else. And then step 5 is those course counselling interviews where you'll sit down with a course counsellor during week 9 or 10 to complete the process. A couple of websites I highly recommend Year 10 students to have a look at. First one is the My Future website, and this is a good website to have a look at the career exploration. So what sort of career can you achieve and is most suited to you, and what are you interested in? And the second one is the Job Outlook government website. So again, another one to have a look and start to outline what your future career might be. Once you've worked out the job or career you want to pursue, it does make it easier to choose subjects for Year 11 and 12. So have a look at those subjects, have a look at those websites and see if you can start to narrow down at least a cluster area of a job that you'd like to be pursuing at the end of Year 12. In your packs, you should have received the Pathway Guide for Year 11 to 2021. Now, in that, it contains information about subjects, and have a look at that so that you can know what subjects you do need to choose. I'd now like to pass over to Mr. Beecham, who will look at what needs to be done from here.
Thank you, Mr. Norcliffe. This next section relates to the Year 10 Subject Information Day, as well as the subject selection booklets. On Tuesday, the 16th of June, all Year 10 students will have the opportunity to sit in on presentations from all learning areas at Thornley Senior High School. They will attend 10 half-hour presentations from each of the MESH subjects, as well as technologies, health and phys ed, arts, and the vet area. The students will have a workbook with them on the day that they can use to write down information and prepare questions to ask parents and staff around subject selection. Students will be provided with a timetable and roster over the next fortnight. The course counselling interviews themselves will take place in weeks 9 and 10 after the Career Advisory Day. Year 10 students and their parents and guardians will be allocated a time and day to meet with one of the subject counsellors at school. This is where conversations can be had around subject offerings and selections for 2021, as well as student suitability for their choices. This is an important part of the process as it allows all parties to reach consensus on the best possible outcome for the student. The course selection sheet is where students and parents detail their intended pathway and the subject requirements of this pathway. This must be brought to the counselling interview, but should not be completed until after the Career Advisory Day on the 16th of June. This next section of the package relates to the selection of subjects from the 2021 grid. Students must choose 6 subjects, as well as 6 second preferences or reserve subjects. One of these subjects must be English, and one must be a Certificate 2 course. It is also highly recommended by the school that all students do a mathematics course. This will increase flexibility of the post-compulsory pathway. As you can see from this slide, the student has chosen 5 general courses, as well as a Certificate 2 course. The important part here in the selection process is that one subject has been chosen from each horizontal or band line. All subjects on that band line run at the same time, so a student can only choose one. For example, on band line 2, a student cannot choose psychology and health studies as they all run at the same time on the band line, as well as on the same time on the timetable. Students here must put their first preference, as well as a second preference or reserve preference in case it doesn't run or the first class is full. Once subjects have been chosen, they need to be transferred to this sheet. Students need to pay particular attention here to the prerequisites, as well as teacher recommendations. With the general courses, this is not as important, but still a requirement that staff and students agree that that student is suitable for that course. Students need to look at the subject selection booklet and listen at the Career Advisory Day to ascertain if they have met the course prerequisites. They must also get appropriate staff to sign off the teacher recommendations to confirm that the staff do deem that student to be capable of achieving as well as being suitable for their subject. This must be done before the counselling interview process. This is the final section of the course selection package. This must be completed by both parents, course advisors and students. Students and parents are to complete and sign their section, and this must be done during the selection interview process. If parents cannot attend the interview, then it's important that they sign their section prior to the interview and that their child brings it along with them. The school cannot process their subject application unless all the forms are signed. An important part of the subject selection process, is that the costs associated with each course are made available and are transparent to all staff, students and parents. Once subjects are selected and endorsed, the school will enter the fees into the billing. And at the time of the interview, parents and or guardians must pay a deposit to reserve their spot in their subject choices. Some subjects do fill up very fast, and students and parents and families who pay a deposit will have a priority in those subjects. This completes the subject selection process. If you have any further questions, please feel free to call our school and make an appointment to discuss further. Thank you.